Got it.
Hey, and here we are again for another episode. This is episode number 3, if my math is correct, of Rum and Records. Here with me is Nick McFarland, live from Atlanta, representing for the A.
Just won 4-1, the Braves did, so we won't talk about United.
We won't talk about United and what they did the other day. I know, right? Oh, well, having a tough time. But hey, and the Hawks just got eliminated. Sorry about that. We're recording this in April, by the way, for anybody who's wondering. They're watching it later on and going, the playoffs ended a long time ago. But the Hawks just got eliminated, but they gave Boston a pretty good run.
They're getting closer and closer every year.
And what's the word on the Falcons draft? I mean, the NFL draft just happened. Have you heard anything good, or did they get anybody good? I really
haven't really been paying attention just because I don't know. The draft is an interesting thing. The only thing I saw was the one quarterback from University of Kentucky, UK. Apparently, they kept panning to him, and it's just him being sad, just staring at his phone because everybody thought he was going to be a first-round draft pick, and then the entire first day came by and went, and nothing.
Oh,
so you just see pictures of him and his girlfriend just kind of like sitting there huddled around the phone, just waiting.
That was strange. Yeah.
Awkwardly
I think
pans to them.
Out of the first 5 picks, I think 3 were quarterbacks, and he wasn't one of them. So, All right, man. So, by now, if anybody's seen this, they know what the concept is. It's Rum and Records. And it's something that we used to do together when we both lived in Atlanta. We'd get together and share some rum and talk about some music. And as I've said before, I respect and love your varied taste in music. And, my background goes way, way back. I started DJ. I think my first DJ gig was probably in 1981 or something like that. But I was, the kid bringing records to class in like 4th grade. Whenever there was a party, the teacher would say, "Hey, Fred, you're going to bring some records?" And I'd bring my little 45s and play them. So I was sort of DJing even back then. So I've been involved in love and have loved music since I can remember. So it's always a pleasure to talk music with somebody, and especially someone like yourself that appreciates and gets into new music and all that kind of stuff. So,
of course. I mean, I didn't only get my face from you. I also got my love of music and my taste as well.
That's awesome. Well, good. I'm glad I passed that along to you. So, the name of the show is Rum and Records, and we usually start with rum. And I've got a pretty interesting one for talk about out of left field. I mean, we've talked about rums from Haiti, I think, from Guatemala, from, the places you sort of expect rum to come from. But today I've got a rum from Newfoundland. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Newfoundland. I never have. I know where it is. It's one of the most eastern provinces of Canada. It's way up there in the northeast, a little cold, a lot of fishing goes on there. So not
cold.
Yeah, a tad cold. So not what you would think of, when you think of rum, you tend to think of hot places, right? But it's a maritime, it's a fishing place, and has a history of sailing ships coming there. And if you remember, your history way back into the 1700s, often sailors got paid in rum. Some of their wages were in rum and grog and all that. And it was watered down rum often, so they wouldn't get too trashed unless they were pirates, in which case that was part of the day.
It's in the job description.
It's in the job description, exactly. So back then, ships would come over to Newfoundland with rum and trade it for different things. And so this rum comes from Newfoundland. It's actually, however, well, let me go back. The local legend says that an American serviceman was in a bar in Newfoundland way back and took a shot of this particular rum. Now, way back when, that rum was probably not very good, right? It wasn't like the kind of rum we're talking about that's, aged in Solera systems and all that kind of stuff. It was, rock gut probably. So they said apparently he let out a yell, and someone in the bar described it as a screech. So that's what I've got is Newfoundland Screech rum. And you'll see there's not a whole lot left in the bottle. It has been passed around a lot. Now, there's a story. This rum is actually made in Jamaica, which makes more sense. It is bottled in Newfoundland, however, and it is a Newfoundland rum. It says famous Newfoundland rum, spelled HUMRUM. And it's a dark rum. It's actually won some awards, in Canada for rum. But what makes it interesting is why you drink Screech rum. It is a tradition in some places in Newfoundland if you are an outsider, if you don't live there, they call you a CFA, a come from away. All right, that makes you a foreigner or a mainlander, maybe not from Newfoundland. They they don't mean it in a pejorative sense. My understanding is they just mean you don't live there. You're not a local, right? In Atlanta, it would be your OTP versus inside the perimeter,
Mhm.
right? So they call you a CFA, and if you would like to become an honorary Newfoundland, you have to get screeched in. All right. And what happens is there are certain bars there in Newfoundland that you can go to, and there will be a master screecher who they do a whole ceremony. Basically involves some playing some seafaring music, some shanties, reciting some lines of maritime poetry. But the main part of it is that you have to, and in some bars it involves eating a big piece of bologna they call Newfoundland steak, and
Okay.
they throw it in a pan and heat it up for you, and you eat that. You do a shot of screech rum, and then you have to kiss a cod, and I'm talking about a fish, a big dead fish. They put it out. You have to kiss it on the lips, and then you are officially a Newfoundlander, or an honorary. You're not,
An honor.
you're an honorary. And these bars will give you a certificate that says you're an honorary Newfoundland. There's a whole ceremony. I mean, depending on the bar, you might pay 10 to 20 bucks for this whole thing, but it could take a while too. So anyway, now the tradition itself, although it sounds like great, it actually only goes back to like the 1970s. Apparently, and it was apparently, and you'll appreciate this as a wife with a teacher, it was a man named Merle Vokey who came up with it at a teachers conference. They were trying to come up with new fun things to do. Somehow leave it to a teacher.
Yeah,
to come up with this, with a little bit of history, and I guess a bottle of rum was laying around. I don't know, but that's the story that goes back to about 1974. So to become an honorary Newfoundlander, you got to get screeched in with possibly and the way it was explained to me, the reason I have this bottle of Newfoundland rum is a friend of mine who lives on a boat in Canada brought it to an event one day and told me about the whole thing. And you know what? I almost forgot. Hang on one second. I should have been prepared, but
things happen. Hope everyone's having a good day today. Don't know if we've said that yet.
Here we go. I don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do sort of the tradition. I don't have any of the shanty music or anything else. So anyway, so this bottle, and then that was about 2 years ago, and I saw him recently in March, as a matter of fact. And when I saw him, he came down here again, and he said, "Man, I'm so sorry. I could not find any screech to bring you. I'm sorry, I don't have any." And so I pulled this out of the bag and said, "Don't worry, I still got what was left." It was about a half a bottle at that point, and we're down to this. So I do not have a cod to drink, so I got a can of sardines. It's the best I can do.
The chicken of the sea.
Right. So I'm not sure what you would think that it would be kiss the cod first and then drink this to get rid of the fish taste from your mouth. So I don't know. But anyway, there's some sardines and the funny thing is, it's actually not a bad rum. Back in the day, like I said, when not even when the tradition started, but back when screech rum started, it was probably a little rougher than it is now. It's definitely a mixing rum, and you can find it for probably 20, 22 bucks a bottle here in the, you can find it in your local liquor store. But it is a Newfoundland rum called screech rum. And if you find yourself up in St. John, Newfoundland, find a bar, and you too can kiss the cod and get screeched in. So there you go. That's my rum for today.
Almost sounds like it's a gang. You gotta get screeched in.
Yeah, I know, right?
Those crazy Newfoundlanders.
Crazy Newfoundland. They got not much else to do up there, I guess.
I gotta wonder what the weather is up there right now. Probably like 37, 36 degrees Fahrenheit.
No telling.
Meanwhile, we're relaxing it up. It's 70, 75,
Yep.
mild.
Yep.
For you, that's a cold spring.
All right. While you're talking about that, while you're talking about your rum, I'm going to look up weather in Newfoundland right now. Now you got me interested.
All right. So for me, I have just something pretty classic. Got pirate rum.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Had quite a bit of it already. You can find this about $25 to $28 at your local store. But so it's a 40% from the Caribbean, fine imported rum it's bottled in Guyana. And let's see, there's not much else about it on the bottle except for the little Buddha tag that it gives you. It's Hoti, the Zen patron saint and protector of fortune tellers and bartenders.
Yep. It's one of my favorite little rums too. By the way, it is 37 degrees right now in St. John's, Newfoundland.
Very nice. Yeah. Very nice. Let's give this a smell. Smells, I can smell like the oak barrels that it's in, the vanilla and everything of that sort. So I'm just going to pour a bit into my drink here.
There is a Pirate, maybe the Pirate XO. There's a rum that comes in a odd shaped little bottle that will fit in a little holster you can carry at your waist.
Perfect.
I've had friends that carry that around, like when they
have to do that for Dragon Con or the Renaissance Fair.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right.
No comment. Very smooth, very great, very good rum. Not for a very high price, but if you want to have people over and impress them, definitely suggest this one, just because it's not Captain Morgan,
right,
or something that's something you share. This is something you share with a friend.
Yes, and that is, and you're right. Like you said, the price is very reasonable for Pirate, and you can find it in most liquor stores.
Just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's bad, and you can always find something good.
All right. So let me, well, now it's time for the records part of this, and let's see if I did this right here. All right. Back out of this for a second. All right. So obviously, I love bands. I tend to, as I've gotten older, like singer-songwriters. I do love my bands. In fact, Rolling Stones, I'm wearing a Rolling Stone Exile on Main Street shirt right now. They are my favorite band in the world. But I do like singer-songwriters. And one of my favorites is John Prine. This is his 5th album, Bruised Orange, right here. There's John Prine, what he looked like at least in 1978. And the album, again, is called Bruised Orange. John Prine is originally from Chicago. He later wound up in Nashville, and most people know him from there as one of the more famous. Some have called him one of the most influential songwriters of his generation. Bob Dylan has lauded him as a great songwriter. His lyrics are often humorous, but also he does a lot of social commentary, and he doesn't hit you over the head with it, but it's kind of, they're mixed into his lyrics. Many of his songs have been covered by other artists. Angel from Montgomery is one that a lot of people might know. Bonnie Raitt had a big hit with it. And you may, people may not even know that David Allan Coe's song, You Never Even Call Me By My Name, which was a huge hit for David Allan Coe and a classic old country song, was actually written by David Allan Coe. Now, I picked this album in particular because it's got some of my favorite John Prine songs on it. It's got Fish and Whistle. It's got Sabu Visits the Twin Cities, Iron Ore Betty. And it's got this song. If I can find it here, I'm going to, no, not that one. There it is. Clicking around here. Let's see if I picked the right version and not, we're probably going to have a commercial at the beginning. I don't think there we go.
Can't go. It's to clear out stuck poop fast.
That's awesome. Now you get a commercial for poop on the
According to New York's Top Gun
Let's
doctor.
skip ads. There we go. We'll go back to poop problems later. Here we go.
I got glue on my string. That's the way that the world goes round. I know a guy that's got a lot to lose. He's a pretty nice fella, kinda confused, got muscles in his head, ain't never been used, thinks he owns half of this town. Starts drinking heavy, gets a big red nose, beats his old lady with a rubber hose, then he takes her out to dinner, buys her new clothes. That's the way that the world goes round. That's the way that the world goes round. You up one day, the next you down. It's a half an inch of water and you think you're going.
All right, so there you go. It's a half an inch of water and you think you're going to drown. That's the way that the world goes round. You can hear him in his lyrics. Like I said, he does social commentary, but without just talking about this guy who's supposed to be a pretty good fella, you know, probably a member of the you know, Chamber of Commerce and stuff in his town, and but behind the scenes he's beating his old lady, and then takes her out to dinner, and you know, so that's his characters are not superficial at all. Like, you know, you have to really to listen to his songs, and he does talk a lot about, especially in his early albums, about people coming back from Vietnam and issues, you know, soldiers had with drug dependency and all kinds of stuff. But and he also does fun songs. But anyway, that just happens to be one of my favorite albums from one of my favorite singer-songwriters, and one of my favorite songs, probably my favorite song from that album, Bruised Orange. John Prine, That's the Way That the World Goes Round.
Okay. Very nice. That was a nice little song.
Yeah.
Although, as you said, you know, the lyrics are depressing, but it's
Well,
interesting how people can make us, you know, bring out those kind of subjects in a way that is, I guess, a way to move it from the kind of depressing way that it is and turn it into an art.
yeah. Yep. And it is not, let's see, I was sitting in the bathtub counting my toes when the radiator broke, water all froze, got stuck in his. It's yeah, I mean, it sounds, but the way he does it, it's not depressing, and like, you know, the Smiths or Morrissey or some of those, you know, I can think of a few artists that you get done listening to it and you're just like, okay, I'm ready to jump out a window. But John Prine doesn't do that, you know. It's social commentary, but he does it in a really interesting and you know, very lyrical way. So there you go, John Prine. What do you got, Nick?
So for me, I've got Earth Gang, specifically their recent album Mirrorland. So Earth Gang is a rap duo here from Atlanta, Georgia, featuring Olu, Johnny Venus, and Wow Great, or Dr. Dot, Elon Parker. Both are from Atlanta. They went to high school at Mays, which is an APS. Actually, I just found out that they are my age, and that's always interesting to kind of figure out. They were in high school in 2008, and that's when I started high school as well.
So you guys might have been in the same stadium at some point, right?
At some point, yeah, playing football or something.
Yeah.
But so I really like their music. It's just something a bit more different. I guess you could say from like the Atlanta scene. It's not all trap. It's not 2 Chainz. It's not Migos all the time. It's something a bit different. It's a bit refreshing. Not to say that the other groups are not bad. Also, they are under the Dreamville record label, which is started by J. Cole, but they're also part of Spillage Village as a whole. And Spillage Village is other Atlanta artists like JID, Hollywood JB, Jordan X Bryant, Black, Mereba, and Benji. Just whole group of them, and they do mixtapes together as well that are always great. But Mirrorland came out before the pandemic, and I remember that's probably where I got COVID my first time. It was March of 2020, and things around the world started shutting down. We started hearing about how bad things were in Italy and everything of that sort, but nothing had started here. And so my friend and I, we went to the concert, and then about a week later, everything shut down. But it was just such a good vibe. It's one of those concerts where everybody around you is just there for the music, for the camaraderie. So there's just a lot of good vibes all around. And so the song that I'm going to be playing a quick snippet of is called Proud of You. So I'm going to turn that on right now.
Awesome.
And drop that.
Yeah. When you put them Cinderellas on your feet, yeah. When you're shining, kinda hard to beat the street, yeah. I'm gonna put you on vacation, get some leisure. I'm gonna do whatever it takes, baby, to please you. Yeah. I mean, through the darkness and through the bleak, you done held my heart each and every beat, and checked on me when I ain't wanna eat, and held me tight when the game on tweak, yeah. Hard times, do you make it look easy? Easy, yeah. Yeah. Heartache, do you make it look easy? Easy. I'm proud of you. Yeah. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Easy. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
I liked it. Liked it a lot. And you can, like you said, it's not your typical trap. You can hear mumble rap or whatever. You can hear the lyrics. And
I'm sorry, my headphones gave out. Let me try to get that back. Try again.
Yeah, I was saying, and I really like that. Not only the flow, but also the it's not like mumble rap. I mean, you can actually understand the lyrics the way it's recorded. You could hear the vocals in it.
Yeah, you're able to hear them. I mean, I'm able to hear and understand what, like mumble rappers say, but that's just because I've been listening to it for a while. Like
Right,
the same thing can be said about speed metal. You're never
right,
going to be able to hear what they're screaming all the time, but
right.
at a certain point you can understand what they're saying. And so the
Yeah.
same thing with that. But so that was a verse from Johnny Venus, and then the chorus. This song also features Young Thug,
Oh,
um, and this is one of my favorite songs just because it is about um, making sure that you feel good about yourself. Like you go through these hard times, but you deserve to be happy in everything, or have someone that shares that with, or like will be proud of you or bring you up.
that's
So,
awesome. That's awesome. And
um,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, I was just about to say because originally I thought because it's a rap duo from Atlanta, everybody's compares them to Outkast, but you can kind of hear that, especially if you listen to more Earth Gang and also more Outkast, you can kind of hear that they aren't typical of what you think
Mhm.
when you think Atlanta rap. Um, so um, and them being a duo, kind of having more upbeat songs, different rhythms, different flows, different beats instead of just hard trap all the time. Even back when Outkast, it was definitely different from, say, Ludacris or Usher that was coming out at the same time.
Yep. And you talking about Atlanta on another episode of Rum Records, I was talking about Bruce Springsteen living in New Jersey, and you sort of had to, you got exposed to Bruce Springsteen. You're born and raised in Atlanta. Now you might have been listening to rap no matter where you were, but being in Atlanta, and you've been surrounded by it. Atlanta is and has been the rap capital, the hip hop capital of the world for years now. Talking about going back to Outkast and all the way through.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's always been big, and it's just constantly growing. Um, so it definitely does mold that around you. Like I talk to some people, and they, when I talk about top albums, um, people sometimes get kind of, they're like, "What do you mean you like that album?" When I talk about an album that brings me like nostalgia
Right.
is Flockavelli by Waka Flocka.
Sure. All right.
Very strange, came out in 2010, but it was just always playing in the Grady High School locker room for football because it
Right.
was such a hype album. You don't really have to listen to the lyrics. It's just music to get you pumped, ready to go play a game or work out or whatever. And so because of that, I have a lot of nostalgia around high school, which is a very formative time in everybody's lives.
Sure, absolutely, man. Yep. All right, very cool. So on my end, the rum was Screech, Newfoundland Screech rum. And the whole story of getting screeched in and becoming an honorary Newfoundlander. And my record was John Prine, Bruised Orange, and particularly the track That's the Way That the World Goes Round. And on your end, Nick?
I've got Pirate Rum and also Earth Gang, Mirrorland.
Earth Gang. Awesome. All right, man. Well, that does it for another episode. This is episode 3 of Rum and Records. Always enjoy doing this. Always enjoy getting together with you, Nick. I wish we could do it more often in person, but next time we're up there, Mom and I are up in the Atlanta area. We'll definitely have to get together and do this in person again. But I'm sure we'll have another episode coming up soon. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to finish off the last of my Screech rum. And don't forget, call your mother. All right, man. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.